Thanks for joining us. And today we're going to talk about Kriya Yoga and the Guru's blessings. So in Kriya Yoga practice, it is normally done where you have a guru in the practice, a spiritual teacher who imparts the practices, the techniques of Kriya Yoga. And normally the guru in Kriya Yoga is regarded very highly. Now recently somebody had made a comment on one of my videos, said something to the effect of, even if we are doing the practice incorrectly, we will still get the correct effect of the practice through the blessings of the guru. And so this idea comes from the concepts of Guru Parampara. So passing the lineage, the practices from guru to guru, and the idea that the guru is a divine being and able to transmit a kind of spiritual power to the student. As I've said in other videos, the blessings of the guru is not so much about the transmission of the blessings from the guru to the student as it is the attunement of the student with the teacher, with the guru. And so the guru or the teacher is one who has made a certain level of achievement in their spiritual practice, in their sadhana, and as a result, they're resonating with a certain aspect of the universal energy field, right? So they've reached a certain level of attainment, and they're resonating with that vibration. And they embody that vibration, and that is really where they start to internalize the teachings. And then from there, they usually start to teach. And so when a student is in attunement with the vibration of the teacher, that is when the transmission of the blessings can occur. There are a lot of students that will be thinking, not trying to make efforts to attune themselves to the vibration of the teacher. They just want to be given something because, they're being pragmatic, right? They're trying to say, okay, I'm having a challenge with this particular thing, either in my sadhana, or I'm having a challenge in my personal life, or financially, and so on. And so they want that extra help from the guru. But the extra help from the guru cannot come until the student makes themselves in attunement with the vibration of the teacher, the level, if you will, that the teacher is teaching at. And in anything, if you spend time around somebody and they have mentored you and you've picked up things from them, there's a subtle energetic interchange between you. And you start to embody the way that they do things. You start to see their perspective and you start to apply that lens on your life. At a subtle level, you start to use the energies in the way that they are using them. So you are vibrating in resonance with their particular vibration and then embodying that in your actions, in your practice. And that's what students need to do in the spiritual path, right? So if you don't do that as a student, you are missing that whole connection, the subtle connection with the teacher. And certainly if you are not, closely in proximity with the teacher, or if you don't have the ability to interact with the teacher in some particular way, it's very hard to tune into them. It can be done, but it's much more difficult. And so it is really the onus is on the student to make that attunement. And by making that attunement, they start to become in harmony with the teachings, with the particular practices that the teacher is teaching. And that's really what you want to do as a student. You can't just be saying, well, I can't do this very well, so I'm not going to make the effort, and I'm going to rely on the gifts of the guru to bless me in my sadhana so that I can get the same effect. That is really a form of spiritual laziness. What you want to do as a student is to apply yourself, to be in resonance with the teacher, to understand the perspective they're coming from, to try to see things as they do, and then to apply those things. So in that way, as a student, you start to build your skills. You apply your skills, you get results, and then your sadhana starts to blossom. You start to get the same effects as the teacher because you're tuning in to their level of attainment. As a student, that is really a very necessary process. And without that, you're going to have challenges. And so if you're just thinking that the guru is going to compensate for your lack of initiative, your lack of effort in your sadhana, you're sadly mistaken. And so if the student is doing the practice incorrectly, they're not actually following the instructions of the guru or of the teacher. And there's a conflict right there. If one wants to excel in one's Kriya Yoga practice, one has to learn the actual proper techniques. And the process of learning Kriya Yoga can often be quite challenging for many people. They haven't developed their skills in doing this slow intentional breathing, which is really central to the Kriya Pranayama. And people need to develop that. You need to develop that skill over time. So what this means as a student is that you try to practice the techniques as you have been taught, knowing that you may not be doing them correctly, but you keep on trying and keep on trying. And thankfully, within Kriya Yoga, there's a whole feedback mechanism. So we know that if we're doing Kriya Pranayama correctly, as advised by Lahiri Baba, Lahiri Mahashai, that we should be able to get signs of pratyahara, signs of internalization, within 12 Kriya, which is basically about 5 minutes or less. So if we're not having those effects in our Kriya Yoga practice, we're not doing the Kriya Yoga practice as was directed by our teacher or by somebody who is competent at Kriya Yoga, somebody who actually understands the practices and can teach you the correct way to do it. So students who say that it's the blessings of the guru, regardless of what they do in their practice, are sadly mistaken. It's like anything, if you do not put the effort into something, you won't get the expected results. You can't get them because you need to go through a process. The Kriya Yoga is very much process-oriented. If you tweak the process in which you do your Kriya Yoga, you will get the effect happening. Now, it's true that being in resonance with one spiritual teacher is a good thing. And we know, examples from India where we talk about the bhakti, the devotion. And so this close connection between the student and the teacher is a way that helps to open up the student's heart. And when one opens up one's heart, one has this feelings of openness within. One is more sensitive to subtle energies. And so one can pick up the subtle vibrations coming from the teacher. One can pick up the subtle vibrations coming from nature, from many other sources that people are normally completely unaware of. Immediately creates a natural devotion or openness within oneself. And so that is a good thing. And so, spiritual traditions that have that connection between the teacher and the student, it can often really help to facilitate the student's growth. But the student needs to apply themselves in the techniques that were taught. This is absolutely essential. And so when the student takes the teacher's instructions to heart and really diligently works at them and tries to become better and better in the techniques, they're actually expressing a form of devotion, which is almost like karma yoga. It is through service, through action, through applying oneself and diligently trying to work on things and get results, that you are honoring this teacher-student relationship. And so that can be a really great way to transform your practice. But you need to work through stuff. You need to apply yourself and diligently learn, right? There are some students that very much want to say, what's the routine? What routine do I need to do so that I can get the result that I want? Kriya Yoga, it might be, dhyan, it might be this absorption, it might be samadhi. They just want to say, what steps do I need to do? But it's not so much about moving through the steps as it is really becoming competent in what you're doing, inserting quality into the quantity, because without quality in your Kriya Yoga practice, it's going to be lackluster. You're going to be relying on other sources for your development without actually forging your way yourself, right? Because ultimately it is you who is in the driver's seat of your spiritual development. It isn't being controlled by anybody else. And so by diligently applying your efforts in learning Kriya Yoga, in practicing Kriya Yoga, you will get the desired results. So if you have any questions about this video, feel free to send me an email at info@modernkriya.com. Also check our website at modernkriya.com and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.